Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, Season 4, Episode 13? 14. 13. We are the Chambers. Well, we are 99 days away from Elk Season. 99 days away from Elk Season.
Once you crack the three digits,
it ticks away like the last 7 seconds of MacGyver.
Right?
It's or MacGruber.
I was going to say or MacGruber.
It's going to go by fast. Summer's here. My son's last day of school was today. I mean, summer comes, and every year. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, we just need to finish the introduction.
We are the Chambers Brothers. My name is Harold.
I'm David.
And it's been a couple weeks, so we have a lot of stuff. But tonight on the Elk Season Podcast,
lots of bears. And we may or may not have any cameos from elk, but we have gear, including night vision gear.
Yeah.
We have the hiking gear we've talked about before. We have public lands conversation brief coming up. We also have moose versus grizzly bear versus wolves versus Twin Falls Park.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of stuff going on, plus a couple of unique shed find conversations, and probably more, depending on how distracted we get.
Yeah.
Today on our Elk Season Podcast.
And Sierra Trading Post opened this week.
I haven't been there yet.
I have not either.
I know, but I did hear that people go to the Sierras and they're like, well, where's what happened to Golden Corral? Because apparently they opened up Sierras and it's gone.
Yeah, Raising Cane's.
Yeah.
Raising Cane's is coming in. All right. Sorry. Where are we starting? We're starting with Grizzly
Dude.
With the Grizzly Dude.
So, yeah, sorry. I wrote down Bear Dude. Clearly, my brain is not functioning. It's Grizzly Dude.
That's all right. Yeah, the Grizzly Dude. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about his attack story.
Okay.
Because, and don't get me wrong, I like this guy. I don't know if I could have acted different.
Right.
But there was twice in his retelling of the bear attack where he says, and then the bear stopped. The bear stopped its attack and stood over me, and I could hear it breathing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, both times, I thought to myself, that's when you play dead. That's when you have removed the threat. You're a threat. She wants to remove that threat. If she thinks you're a threat, she's going to continue, but act like you're not a threat. But his exact words, right when I'm thinking those words, his thoughts were, now is the time to fight. Now is the time. There was twice where she completely stopped attacking him.
Wow.
And he said, and then I knew again, I had to fight. And that's wrong. That's wrong. When he was at the hospital, he was very coherent. I told you his head was intact and he was coherent and lucid. And people asked him, hey, what happened? This bear attacked me. She thought I was food. She wanted to eat me. I'm positive. And the biologists are like, that's pretty rare. We'll write down your account, but that's exceedingly rare.
Yeah.
That they were actually able to determine, of course, she had a cub. He thought it was a boar. It was a sow. She had a cub. She perceived him as a threat. He didn't know any of that. So, having said all of that, could you have the fortitude to not fight? Yeah. I don't know that I could.
I don't know either.
That's my life.
Because it's fight or flight.
There's a bear on me. He was grabbing its genitalia. The bear was like screaming, agonizing, like it was running away. He was really fighting. He was gouging at its eyes. He was really, really working hard to fight that bear.
Wow.
And so I had this moment where like, well, he's doing the wrong thing. And at the same moment, I'm like, I don't know if I could do any different.
I think I'd probably do the wrong thing.
Yeah. What a hard position to be in. Say, I know I should be playing dead. Man, that's not me. I'm a fighter.
I hope I get lucky. Like the few times where I've been in a position where I needed to rely on what you call it, instinct.
Yeah.
And it's usually when I'm driving. I've had 2 incidents where I was driving and I had to rely on my instinct because of ice.
And it just took over. Instinct takes over.
And it took over. And all those thoughts, it's not being attacked by a bear, but I hope that I'm lucky like I have been so far, that I do the right thing because I somehow lucked out and did the right thing in those moments. But it's nowhere near a bear attack versus I got on an icy patch. But same,
you could have done the right thing and gotten unlucky.
Right. But the same physiological response would happen in both scenarios.
Right. And I've spent a lot of miles driving on ice.
So how do you
spent very much time under a grizzly?
Right. So how do you prepare yourself for the right response? I actually have a proposal for how to answer that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm listening.
Mental preparation.
Okay.
You have to imagine yourself doing the right thing, and you have to return to that place frequently. And if you ever can, enact it in some way. Go through the motions in your home, use pillows or something. Like, you have to rehearse it so that your brain maps out that reaction. It's the same thing a basketball player does when they take shots from certain places on the floor because they know they're going to be there a lot to increase the likelihood that they have the right shot when that time comes when they get the ball.
Yeah.
It's about muscle and mental memory so that in a moment of stress, when you have the opportunity, you do that thing.
Instinct is there.
It's you have to build that instinct.
So, yeah, I heard that in the same basketball situation with who was Jordan's coach? Phil?
Yeah. Donahue, Hartman? Nope, neither one.
He was also the coach for the Lakers for a really long
Phil
time.
Bat? No, that was a governor. But yeah.
Anyways, you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, he actually spent time in Whitefish, Montana.
Okay.
And played for a team out east. But the what I want to say about that is his approach to coaching is right. There's a lot of NBA players you'll see where the coaches are on the sidelines screaming and pointing and telling you. His philosophy was it's too late to coach them then.
Yeah.
Right. These are professional athletes. Train them off the court, and they'll know what to do on the court.
Yeah.
It will take over. And so he was just known as the Zen master. He would give his athletes, hey, don't watch TV tonight. Read some of this book. We'll talk about it. And it was about training young men to handle themselves.
Yeah.
And compose themselves. Anyways, I want to say Phil Jackson.
Jackson. That's it.
Was that
Phil
right?
Jackson.
Phil Jackson.
Not part of the Jackson 5.
Right, and you see it in CrossFit too, because we go to a lot of CrossFit events, and you see certain people trying to coach from the sideline. It's like, man, it's too late.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know why. I've probably heard this before, but it's resonating. Like that is the appropriate thing to do. I think even at the high school level, if you're in a game, you've coached them.
You've coached them.
There's no need to yell and scream.
There's not. There really isn't. Not. I totally agree.
The only thing you might yell and scream is the plays.
But just like, could I not fight a grizzly? Could I not yell when we're down at 10, 20 points and I said, execute this play and it's a mess, right? Could I handle myself? I don't know.
But mental preparation goes a long way. And
mental
rehearsal.
preparation. But that brings me to another great, interesting point about Grizzly Dude.
Okay.
He had nightmares. He was traumatized.
Yes.
He would wake up. Him and his wife had a system for when he woke up from a dream where he's hearing the crunching of his own skull, the crunching of his own flesh, and him and his wife had to work up a system. Then he taught of course he's going to therapy. He's talking about it. These psychologists have this new memory replacement thing.
Okay.
Where memory is, how memory is. Mm-hmm. It's very plastic.
Yes, it is.
And so they work with him. And after like a week of sessions, he stops having nightmares.
Yeah.
Because he's replaced those horrible memories with just a little bit more positive memories.
Yeah.
And they bring him out of it. That's a great story too. That's later on in the book. But to understand the psychology techniques and how effective it was, that was amazing.
There's some and I don't know what it's called. There's a lot of different therapies that are like the same thing with different names.
Right.
But I'm aware of a nightmare therapy, but I can't remember what it's called. But I would imagine it entails.
I can't remember what it is either, but it's probably similar.
I haven't been trained in it, but I've come across opportunities to train, but it never aligned with my schedule. But I was like, that seemed like it would be cool to learn about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was fascinating. And because he talked about his, not just the attack, but the recovery. And it wasn't just a bunch of surgeries. There was a lot of talking. There's a lot of psychological damage that was done.
Yeah. So there's still plenty of black bears included here. I'm going to jump to a black bear situation.
Yeah.
Somebody got bit by a black bear.
Yeah, in Florida, I think.
Okay. We've talked recently about how many black bear there are,
Yep.
particularly in the eastern United States.
And just I think it's more of a reflection of the human population because humans produce so much garbage.
Yes.
Bears are nocturnal. They have great noses. They love garbage.
Yep.
And if you don't have a bear-proof garbage can,
Yeah.
they're going to find it.
And one of my favorite cartoons, we've talked about this growing up from Disney, was the bears going around Yellowstone.
That was one of the best.
Pick it up and put it in the bag. Boom, boom.
That's right. That's right. I love it.
We were in the same key there.
Yeah.
Nice. So we're gonna have to release that and see if we don't get sued.
Whoa, that's as good as it gets, and it won't ever get that good again.
But that happens a lot. So somebody getting bit, and you can't help but wonder, and I can't help but wonder because I've watched too many shows about people and exotic pets and people flirting with nature, particularly on the West Coast. A show called I Shouldn't Be Alive, where this old lady kept getting cited because she's feeding the black bears, but one of the black bears finally grabs her from under the railing on her porch and drags her out and kills her.
Yeah.
Because he's just being, anyway.
Being a bear.
Yeah. And so inevitably our encroachment on wildlife creates these scenarios. And we're not immune to that, not even in places like Yellowstone, where, surprisingly enough, bringing up that cartoon, they recently killed a grizzly bear for getting in the trash. Now, the picture that is on there, that's just one.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find a good shot of the other images they had, but this bear had become habituated, or I guess conditioned rather, to the access of trash.
Yep.
There was no way around it. For public safety, for everyone's best interest, the bear had to be culled. So a
fed bear
is a dead bear.
Yeah.
So
that's unfortunate. And in the early days of Yellowstone, they had the Yellowstone right there. There's a big lodge at Old Faithful, and the garbage was an open pit. They just took piles and piles of stuff, and the bears came in huge numbers. And then, people, there was a lot of garbage in Yellowstone. There was a lot of garbage everywhere. People, as soon as the highway system came in, people are like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, it looks clean."
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
yeah, it's unfortunate. And this bear looked like it was able to somehow access, like it opened a bear-proof trash can, like it was it was getting that
condition,
good at it.
Right? I pushed it into traffic. The bear figures out how to push it off a bridge.
One of these
Jackpot!
days, we're going to see grizzly bears pushing carts down the road. Like,
you're right.
Anyway,
right?
A grocery cart from the grocery store is full of garbage. Anyway,
just picking up stuff on the side of the road. I'm going to save it for later.
I don't remember the context of the story. I'll just throw it out there. It's in here. Snake River Bridge. We live next to the Snake River.
We do.
Where are the origin waters?
The origin waters, well, first of all 3 major rivers of the West have their origins in Wyoming. The Yellowstone is the biggest tributary of the Missouri. The Henry's Fork is the biggest tributary of the Snake, and the Green River is the biggest tributary of the Colorado.
The Columbia goes into Canada, though.
The Columbia River? Yeah.
It goes up into Canada.
Well, I meant the Snake River.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. The Snake River is the biggest tributary to the Columbia.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
And it begins in as well, I don't know if it's as Henry Fork, but as Henry Fork is part of it. But as the Snake River in Wyoming. So the Wyoming, the way I think about it, and I know it's just for my dumb geology classes, but as the continent moves over that hotspot, the Yellowstone hotspot, it's just so much higher.
Yeah.
And so water just flows from every direction.
Gotcha.
There is a triple divide in Montana.
Oh, wow.
Where there's this water goes to Hudson Bay, this water goes to the Gulf of America, and this one goes to the Columbia River. Right? But there's a triple divide in Montana somewhere.
Anyway.
Yes.
The headwaters are in Wyoming.
Yes.
For the Snake River.
To make a short answer.
So I see this headline that says Snake River Bridge Crew spot grizzly bear. And I'm like, well, we have bridges here. And they're talking about building another one here.
Yeah, they are.
And hopefully soon.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this is in Wyoming, so near the headwaters. So imagine going to work one morning, and you can't because there's a grizzly bear snooping around the bridge that you're building. So just kind of an interesting story there. Grizzlies have increased their numbers. We know that.
Yes,
we
yes.
talked recently about the plausibility study of grizzlies going back to California.
Yes.
And so you actually brought up a video that you just want to say, hey, this could be you with grizzlies literally in the driveway.
Yeah, a grizzly bear's literally in the driveway in Montana. Again, check out the book, Grizzly in the Driveway. Yeah, it's a dirt driveway. It's not like a paved driveway like a subdivision, like what you think when you think grizzly in the driveway. This is a long 2-mile dirt driveway, but there are grizzlies in it.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, California, that could be you.
Yeah.
Think of it. Think of a grizzly bear back in California. Imagine.
It makes your flag legit, state.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
And then anyway.
The point is, we have a fairly large population. The population of grizzly bears is large enough that even here in Idaho, we are now required, if you're going to get a bear tag, you have to do a grizzly bear versus black bear class.
Yeah.
You have to pass that class. And
it's like an online.
Yeah, it's something you can do
like
online.
PowerPoint.
And I saw a headline recently that sort of underscores this need. I don't know whether or not the individual involved in this headline passed this class or not. Right. But a grizzly bear was shot here in northern Idaho in the Bonners Ferry area. The hunter recognized the mistake, self-reported, which, hopefully everybody does, but not everybody. Not everybody will do that because they're like, oh crap, I got to hide the evidence. But luckily, this wasn't the case, and hopefully, it's a learning opportunity. Obviously, a penalty, a fine of some kind, but I hope that it's. If anything, it's
points for honesty, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
So. But grizzlies, we've been seeing them more in the news, more in the driveways, metaphorically speaking. 399, sadly. Yeah. What baffles me on this one, and I know this is kind of a left field conversation. 399.
Yeah.
Supposedly was caught teaching her cubs how to cross a highway.
Yeah.
But was ultimately killed by crossing a highway.
She had to cross a lot of highways.
It sounds like The Bear 2.
Yeah.
In the making. Okay. The Bear movie.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah. Stop where we're going with that one.
Oh, stop it.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, that would be a beautiful film. I've already seen it. It's great. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
10 out of 10. That's a beautiful movie. I love the movie The Bear.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, but Grizzly 399 was known for what? Being old, but having multiples in her litters consistently. And she had 4 in one of her last batches. Yep. There's another grizzly bear from the Teton Range.
Yep.
Bear
and 399 was primarily from the Teton Range.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder if they're related. Because Bear 1063 had multiples this year. 3 had a batch of 3.
Oh, wow.
But they found 2 of them dead.
Oh.
But they suspect that it was an infanticide or a predation of a grizzly boar coming in. And this is common in if you're not familiar with infanticide in
bear
nature,
circles.
Bear circles, but just in a lot of animal circles. I always give an example in my classes about infanticide when it comes up about lions on the plains of Africa, right? So a female lion might need to kill her cubs because she can't find enough food source for all of them, but if she kills her cubs, she can sustain herself and she can move on and have another litter of cubs. A male lion can come in and be like, oh, these cubs are not my genetics. Not that he knows that, but he knows that they aren't his because he's never met this lioness before. So he kills the cubs so he can provide the genetics.
Right. So, she won't be receptive to having more
unless
she already has. If she already has, and the same with the bears, they won't go into estrus if they already have cubs. If they still are breastfeeding.
So they suspect that was the case, but they have reports that they have seen her with the remaining cub.
Oh, good.
So I wonder if she was able to fight off that one, or if he left and he got shot by that dude in Idaho.
Yeah,
the story is just thread together.
Yeah.
Not sure if that's actually true. So
it most likely is not. I'll go out on a limb and say that.
He was a hired gun. Oh, sorry. That's too soon. Sorry.
Little.
All right. So anyway, that's kind of cool. I just, I've never knew how much I cared about grizzly bears as much as this podcast helped me appreciate that. So, and I actually owe that a little bit of thanks to you because you really inspire that conversation a lot. And so thank you.
Well, good. That's what the podcast is for. That's what it's for, to understand the ecosystem elk live in. And all these component parts. There's so many component parts, and they all play a big role in elk season.
So trying to read my writing now. I apologize. I wasn't trying to be. Okay. The closest thing we have to an elk on the podcast this week is a moose.
Okay.
Okay, we have a couple different moose. We had actually here in Twin Falls, Idaho, we have Shoshone Falls Park, which is famous for the Niagara of the West.
Yeah.
Less known, and unfortunately it's dammed up, and I'd like to... I'm not trying to ruffle feathers. I'm just saying we need to return the Twin Falls to its former glory, tear out the electrical unit, and let it have falls on both sides. The namesake is dammed up on one side. Anyway, that also has a park, and it's also beautiful, with all due respect to the situation that it is.
Yeah.
But there was a moose and a calf that they had to transpat out of there, transport out of there on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So they had to. The Idaho power workers saw the moose and the calf, and they called Fish and Game. They got them out of there. But.
So speaking of Southern Idaho moose, you know the Idaho record moose comes from Southern Idaho.
I didn't know that.
Oh, big time.
So elk and moose then.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Like Burley 55, that area, that's big moose. So I'm scrolling through Facebook and I go to the Idaho Fish and Game Facebook page and it says, hey, you can, for $6, you can apply for a super hunt.
Okay.
And you can buy as many super hunts as you want. You can spend $600 for however many tickets, for 100 tickets, I guess. That would be, let me do the math. Right.
Gotcha.
So you could do that and you'd have all these tickets and you could win a moose hunt, an elk hunt, like any hunt. It's a dream hunt. Okay. A pronghorn, mule deer, elk, moose, and one person wins all four.
Wow.
In the scroll, in the post, is a moose so big, you go, that's not an Idaho moose.
Wow.
That's an Idaho moose.
Wow.
That's a Shiras moose. But if you go to that post on Facebook, man, I'll show it to you before we go.
All right.
It doesn't look like an Idaho moose. You're like, I've never seen a moose like that in Idaho before.
Yeah, well, maybe that
so big.
Maybe that moose could stand up against a grizzly and a wolf. So,
yeah.
And was that Alaska where that was from?
Yeah, a lot of wild things happen in Alaska. And somebody actually got it on a trail cam. A brown bear or a grizzly bear attacks an adult moose. At the same time, wolves attack her calf.
It's brutal.
It's awful. And who do you root for?
Yeah, I don't know. Nature. Do your thing. Go nature.
Yeah. Yeah, go nature. It's brutal.
So that is not everything. We have a few things left here. Trying to decide what's the next.
How about this? I'm reading a new book right now called The Comfort Crisis.
Okay.
And in it, this guy's like, I realize I'm too comfortable. I'm going to do something that's uncomfortable.
Okay.
Ends up where? In the Rocky Mountains.
Nice.
Right? I want to do something uncomfortable. And there's this new type of hiking that you like minimize all your stuff and you're like, you get uncomfortable. Right? And that's when you start to feel what nature is, when you're really uncomfortable. But he's out with a hunter. Okay. This guy, right? This guy's never hunted before. He doesn't have a bow or a gun. And the guy has a great take on trophy hunting. Right? He goes, so you're a trophy hunter? Well, no. But it just so happens, ecologically, the best thing I can do for the group is kill the oldest,
most dominant,
not most dominant, just the biggest.
Yeah.
Right. Just the biggest, because he's probably the oldest.
True.
And probably the closest to non-reproductive status. So he goes, I get it. I'm killing big, beautiful trophies, but that's even so. What wolves do, they don't go after them because they're trophies. And that's what Native Americans did for a long time. Was they realized, yes, these older, bigger, mature bulls aren't as important to the reproductive cycle of the rest of the elk. Anyways, I thought that's a great take on calling trophy hunting just something else.
That's fair.
Because I'm not after a trophy.
No.
But if I kill a cow elk, how many elk am I really killing?
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
It could be 15 or 20. I don't know. So I want to kill a bull, not for the antlers, but that prize is definitely cool, right? It's definitely neat. Anyways.
Yeah, that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
I'll file that in there.
Okay.
It's not lost on me. I appreciate that, actually. Speaking of trophies, sometimes you find shed trophies, right?
Oh, and this guy, Eric Chesser, man, Man, I've been watching him ever since I was on TikTok. Ever since. This guy puts in more miles. You think you could be a shed hunter? Watch him and you'll give up.
Yeah.
Watch him. You'll quit shed hunting. He's a monster. He puts in so many miles. He's so good, and I love his content. But he found a shed.
Yeah,
it wasn't a shed. It was a deadhead.
There's a deadhead of a ram, a bighorn sheep.
Yeah.
Which is really amazing. And then the as it shrinks, it apparently has kind of like the horns are kind of like
they're sheaths.
Yeah,
they're sheaths over a larger bone,
like antelope.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah.
We learned about antelope.
Yeah, so. and they came off, and he found the skull separated from both of those sheaths. And I think it's past a 3/4 curl.
Yeah,
it's not quite up to a full curl, but man, it is such a beautiful deadhead find.
Yes,
and he's a neat guy to watch. He just loves the outdoors. And he loves.
He does it.
He loves
sounds like more legit than that study. We don't have it necessarily the pictures, but you say you watch him, you'll quit shed hunting unless you have access to a helicopter.
That is a hard instinct. Let me tell you something. When you're a young man, I remember thinking about this story. I remember being with Slim, right? And he's crazy.
Yeah.
He's crazy about everything in the outdoors. And young men. He didn't have a dad. My dad was a disabled librarian. So we really didn't get out a lot.
Yeah.
And so when we did, it meant a lot to us. And it meant a lot when we found anything.
Yeah.
And I got to calling Slim Deadeye.
Yeah.
Because he would start pounding on the side of the car. Stop, a coyote, a coyote. And he would jump out of the car and run and peel an old dead coyote out of a tree.
I remember one time we stopped because he saw a gut pile off the side of the road.
Yeah.
I remember we stopped one time because he saw a dead rabbit off the side of the road.
Yeah.
On our way out of.
And so I understand that instinct when all your buddies get together. Hey, we're going to go out shed hunting, and you go, oh, this guy found this, and this guy found this, and all of a sudden these guys get out of high school and they join the National Guard. And now they're flying a helicopter through Montana, and they can see a shed. They see a giant shed on the ground, and they land the helicopter to take the shed. That's still trespassing.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, and I understand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you got busted, but I really understand that instinct. I know it's a company car.
Yeah.
Not really. It's not a military aircraft. It's just a company car. We're just out for the weekend. Right? It's an Air National Guard. It's just
I take my Black Hawk to the ice cream store.
I hope they're not too tough on those guys.
Yeah,
they're just kids.
Crystal Cross closure. What's that about?
Bears in the area. More bears.
Oh, I missed the bear story.
Yeah, bears in the area. They just closed it because they've noticed bear activity and they want to keep bears and people safe. So they just closed the area. I don't know. Was that Wyoming or Montana? I think it might have been Montana. I don't think it was Idaho. Anyway,
not that it was Montana. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks.
Okay.
When it comes to land access, and I don't want to get lost on a deep dive on this one, but it bugs me. And I'm not going to cite a source that I heard just Tuesday that made me concerned about it. Okay. But I am not comfortable with things trending online where it says #America for sale.
Yeah.
Our public lands are at risk right now being leached out of our hands to have access to and to do the things that we love. So please write your congressperson. Let them know. In Idaho, we have a really good congressperson who is definitely on the side of what we're talking about, of reserving these lands for future use.
Yeah.
Representative Mike Simpson. But please encourage your congresspeople to do the same thing, to do the right thing, and make sure that we keep these lands undeveloped and accessible for generations to come. Because right now, they are under threat in Idaho, in Utah, all across the West.
Yeah.
We need to keep as much of this accessible and available. We need to remain public landowners as long as possible.
I don't want the Salmon River Mountains. I don't want the River of No Return to be renamed Elon Musk Monetary School for his children, his many 20 children or whatever. Right? I just no, I don't want any of the now public lands to be renamed for a billionaire. It's scary and disgusting to me.
That's a worst case scenario, but a possible scenario. So please,
Yeah.
do the right thing, speak up, be outspoken.
Well, they start
show
with
up.
state lands and a little bit of BLM, and eventually they might move to Forest Service. But I'm hoping there's enough roadblocks, in the way to keep them from doing that.
Well, I believe at the national level, a group of Republicans were able to put a stop to so there's a bill that came through over the weekend.
Yeah.
In that bill, there was writing that was written underneath. The headline is this, but there's all these like what they call it pork or whatever,
Right.
pork fat. in
Right,
those
right,
bills.
right.
There's all these other
Earmarks.
things.
right,
And yeah, earmarks.
right. You know how all that works, right? The senator gets them together. He's going to write a bill. I'm going to write this bill. We're going to do this. I need you to sign off on it. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll sign off on it if you earmark something for me.
Yeah.
And so they get this long list, like a big stupid wish list from every senator they want to get signed this bill. Anyway,
So House Republicans killed the provision to sell public lands. The controversial provision in the federal budget bill would have required the disposal of 500,000 acres of public ground in Utah and Nevada.
oh,
So they were able to get that out of that bill,
good.
apparently. So I'm
Okay.
just saying, and I heard some rhetoric over this week that just sickens me because being the outdoorsy person that I am,
Yeah,
and
And
I
not
just bought a
being rich.
camper and I need a place to take that camper.
and I'm not rich. I can't
I
afford
bought
my own
a
public
very
land.
small camper.
Yeah,
It's-
because you're not rich either. I get
No.
it.
All right. Enough of that. Let's talk about new tech. Oh, and hold on. Minnesota fires first, and then new tech.
Yeah, we talked. I just want to touch base on this because we talked about it. It's a story we talked about on the Elk Season Podcast previously, and that was deer populations in northern Minnesota are plummeting, and people want to know why. And immediately, you and I think, "Oh, it's that chronic wasting disease." That was my
Maybe.
first thought. Right?
Maybe, yeah.
And but no, it's habitat loss. There's a lot of forest fires up there, and what this picture shows are forest fires in Minnesota and near the Upper Peninsula
Yeah.
of Michigan. But that's part of that deforestation that is costing Minnesota some deer, some really valuable deer. When we talked about how warm it is when you get into the trees in the cold winters.
Yeah.
That's what they're losing right now.
Yeah. We know what that's like out here.
Yeah.
It's
important.
It's all too obvious out here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some tech. So,
Yeah.
waterproofing clothes. So you had this interesting image. It's kind of fun to see how things come together.
I just liked it. I found a TikTok and it looks like a sewing machine, but it's a post sewing machine. After you put stitches in something, you run that stitch seam under this machine, and it puts this nice plastic coating. And if you have some waterproof gear, you can see that
Yeah.
plastic coating. I just didn't know how it was done. I thought it was neat, and I thought, okay, good, yeah,
Cool.
nice to have some waterproof stuff.
Yeah.
More water resistant.
Not enough of that growing up, I'll be honest. And
Yeah.
not enough warm clothes
Oh.
growing up. We took grocery bags
Yeah.
and put them around our socks and into our shoes so we could ford rivers in the middle of what was it, November or December when you took me out in Montana? And
Wow.
we were deer hunting. I was with you and we sat on this bank and it was so cold that day. And
Oh yeah, I do remember.
Yeah.
That was Lincoln.
yeah.
Oh, whitetail action. There's nothing
It
like
was
Western
such
whitetails.
a beautiful time though. Like as cold and as
it
uncomfortable as
was.
I don't look back on that with any negativity because
Right.
it's calm, it's serene. You have this cold creek. I'm freezing. You're gonna fjord this. You're gonna wade rather, fjord,
Ford or fjord. Fjord is
fjord this river. And I just remember we were using the grocery bags from Albertsons or whatever.
Yeah.
And it didn't keep all the water out, but it kept most of it out.
Yeah.
We made it work, and then.
Man.
You would get back in your Monte Carlo and leave, or whatever it was you were driving at the time.
What was I driving?
I think at that time it was your Monte Carlo.
No, it definitely wasn't. I don't think I ever took that to Lincoln.
Oh, it might have been the
It's Toyota, I think.
either that or the.
The Tercel.
I think
The Tracker, maybe.
the Tracker is what I was
Yeah.
trying to say. I think it might have been that. But
Yeah, Lincoln, Montana. Boy, that is just what a place. What
Yeah.
a place.
that walking assist tech is actually for sale. You showed me a video.
Yeah.
So this takes us out of the warm and
Yeah, and I showed you the
insulate, but
video. I showed you the video, and
The
the guy's
elated
like,
guy.
oh, okay, he's obviously reviewing this but it's like it's already a product that exists.
Yeah.
It's not like he's the founder of the company
No.
and he's trying to show it off. And so then I found an actual commercial of this, and it's smaller than a suitcase, or it's about the size of bigger than a briefcase, smaller than a suitcase. Right? That's what this tech is. You strap it around your waist, you strap it around your knees, and it's a walking assist. It helps you hike. It's battery operated, and it's basically like taking 40 pounds off of you.
Yeah.
So your whole backpack, if you can imagine.
That's pretty cool.
That is not nothing.
No, it isn't.
And so, some of this tech is going to be available, and some of this tech should probably have some restrictions.
Yeah. Well, you showed me some infrared binoculars.
Yeah.
And then I showed you some infrared contact lenses.
Yeah. So here's my question. I go, well, sure, you have infrared vision, but I have infrared vision binoculars.
But
could I just pick up binoculars with infrared contacts?
that's where I was going next. If you beat me, you got me. We were there. We were on the same page.
Right.
Because that's a lot less weight, and I have something that is dual capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the strength of the night vision
I don't know either.
binoculars are.
Or the contacts,
But man, I know I spend a lot of nights in the woods, and I wake up early, and I wouldn't mind knowing what's around, out and about and around, huh?
yeah, exactly. So just some really cool stuff.
Again, something that might prove to be an unfair advantage and in need of regulation. Perhaps.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Last and not least, I want to do this little outro rant with this last story.
Okay.
And I didn't tell you about this. I showed you this one, but I didn't tell you that I was going to do this.
Okay.
So just hang with me for a minute.
I'm with you.
There is going to school and getting an education, putting in the work, putting in the time studying, doing that, getting your master's degree, getting your doctorate degree. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time, a lot of dedication. It's expensive. It's not easy. It's not just expensive financially. It's time. It's a lot, And so to get to the end road to become a doctorate, it really requires putting in the work. So I find fault with giving honorary doctorates in certain situations where, and I don't know if this rumors were true, but I would be concerned if they were, that supposedly the late, is he dead yet? I don't know. Bill Cosby
No, he's still around.
wouldn't speak at a university unless they honored him with an honorary doctorate.
Yeah.
And I thought, that seems cheap.
Yeah.
And it
does.
might be nice to have a title, but I don't think you earned it.
Right.
But I came across a YouTube video just this morning of a gentleman who's getting an honorary doctorate from a place that we know and love in Montana, the University of Missoula, Montana. He was their keynote speaker before he gives his speech, which was a really cool speech about you've got to make yourself uncomfortable in order to make it somewhere. So to tie into the theme that we were talking about earlier. But before he gave his speech, they honored him as Dr. Steve Rinelli. Rinella, sorry.
Yeah.
Still learning some things. Now,
from the Meat Eater podcast and also from the Meat Eater on Meat Eater Show on Netflix. It's been around for 15 years.
So the thing is, the work that he's done and the places that the positions he's put himself into, the recognition feels warranted in this case. I feel like with as little as I know about him, as little as I've watched his stuff, but as much as I know the things we talk about, the things that I have come across, and the way that they introduced him and gave him his acknowledgement of earning that, I actually felt like this one made sense. So I want to say congratulations to Steve Rinella,
yeah.
because I think it's really cool that not having done the traditional education system, he did his own educational drive that put him in a position to do what he did at the commencement for the University of Montana in Missoula. So I think that's pretty cool. And
How great that such a well-known outdoorsman and hunter is speaking at a commencement. That's really good. And it's Steve Rinella. He's a great guy.
And I'll spoil it here. He said in his speech, he goes, I want you to take your plan B in life and I want you to tear it up and throw it away. Your plan A is what you want. And you need to put yourself in the position to do that. And he gave a really good anecdote, analogy, metaphor is what he said.
Yeah.
And so you can watch that clip. It's only 6 or 7 minutes on YouTube. But congrats, Dr. Steve
Rinella. I like Steve Rinella. I told you, he's second only to Randy Newberg when it comes to guys I respect, and I respect many of them. Top of the list is Randy Newberg, right? And because I've read just because I like his demeanor. I
Yeah.
just like his demeanor. But Steve Rinella, and I've read 3 of his books.
Yeah.
Right. And so he is a very close second. And every time I read a book or every time I see clips of his podcast, he climbs up there. It's always good stuff. It's very responsible conversations around ecology, and I respect that. He was the one that gave me that was having a conversation with A Woman Among Wolves.
Yes.
That got me to listen to that book. And so, just having good honest conversations about conservation.
Yep. And there you have it.
Okay.
Episode 13.
99 days.
99 and counting.
99 days. What do you have coming up this summer?
Lots of camping, actually.
Yeah? How many trips you got planned?
5 or 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
First
Okay.
one's next weekend.
Okay. So, I got a trip to Mexico.
Yeah.
We got the Magic Valley Air Show's coming. That's
Yeah.
a big deal. Got a concert. We got I have a camping trip coming up. Some camping trips.
And then Yellowstone.
Yeah, that's
one of them. And
yeah. I will do some backpacking, and I will get to the Sierra Trading Post very soon. Very soon. I gotta know what the hammock situation is.
Yeah. If we're able to coordinate it, let me know. I'd love to show up. We can walk through there and just make a mess of it. So.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. Hang in there. Till next week.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
In the morning light, before dawn, bow grip tight, heart beating strong. Through the forest, ancient giants roam, in the land where the wild calls me home. Through the whispering pines and the autumn breeze, driven by the chase, crisp air I breathe. With every step I take, earth beneath my feet, in nature's beauty where the hunter and elk meet. The mountains rise, kissed by the sun, in September where I belong. Bugles echo loudly through the veil, a symphony of an ancient tale. Through the whispering pines and the autumn breeze, driven by the chase, crisp air I breathe. With every step I take, earth beneath my feet, in nature's beauty where the hunter and elk meet. Silent as the morning mist, I travel on with careful grace. Every shadow, every sound surrounds me in this wild embrace. The challenge and the thrill, the patience and the skill, in the dance of life and nature, my heart's forever filled. As the sun sets, shadows long and deep, I find my place where the memories I keep. The chase and the beauty of a day gone by. Deep in the mountains, my spirit cries. Through the whispering pines and the autumn breeze, driven by the chase, crisp air I breathe. With every step I take, earth beneath my feet, in nature's beauty out where the hunter and elk meet. Here's to the wild places where the elk and I both roam. The chase that brings us closer to the place that I call home. In the stillness of in the grandeur of the land. I am one with nature's wonder, with my bow here in my hand.